Off we go. It's all
Oh, there we
yours.
go. Look, it's all go. It's all go. So, welcome everyone, and thank you for an awesome turnout. This is the first part of Hacked. It's kind of officially started, but unofficially, obviously, hasn't started until that Monday morning. But these are the lead-in events that we're going to be having to make the hackathon as incredible as we can, and I'm super excited. Let's get some of these if you've never done a hackathon before, and some of these if you have, just to see sort of what people's experience is. So a few people have, awesome. Yeah, a lot of people have done a hackathon before. Awesome. If you're from Norwich, you might have done Sync the City before, or you might have done some online before. But if you haven't done one before, don't worry. You're going to have the most amazing time, and I'm going to just quickly introduce what to expect and sort of what a hackathon is. Finn won last year, but not Sync the City. Oh, okay, awesome, amazing. And Marquesa, nope, good. Don't worry. Some people have, some people haven't. It's our responsibility to make sure that it doesn't matter where you've come from before, you're going to have the most amazing time. And I'm super confident that everyone will. So yeah, we're going to see some of these flags. I've kind of ruined it now, haven't I? We're going to see some of those out before it. So, but what is a hackathon? A hackathon really allows you to solve real world problems. So I'm not going to share what that real world problem is unless I've left it in there accidentally. But you get to solve a real world problem, but mainly it's like you get to come together and work with some new awesome people to build something in what is a friendly and a non-pressured environment, to build something and make something using the skills that you all have. And it's really about creating projects that you can be proud of, and build a prototype and present it back and get all of these amazing experiences of working in a team to build something. And I think the same thing is whether you're going through a course or you're going through a hackathon. There's some really high moments. There's some moments where you're thinking, what am I going to do? And all of those things come together at the end into this most amazing presentation. It's something you're going to be super proud to present back to the judges. So that is a hackathon, coming together, working together, thinking of a problem, solving a problem, teamwork, highs, lows, and at the end of it, something you can be super proud of. And yeah, there's a lot of academic stuff that backs all of that up. The thing that I want everyone to remember over these 3 days about what a good outcome is for you and for us individually, I think the most important one is right here. We want this to be fun. I want everyone to come away with it and think, oh my goodness, like if Tech Ed are doing, and all of the schools and colleges and universities are going to put on a hackathon again next year, I'm going to try and get a ticket for that, because trust me, if you've got a ticket, you were one of the lucky ones. We were super oversubscribed. So, but next year I want everyone to go again, like, hey, that was so much fun. I want to be able to do that again. So it should be an experience that everyone enjoys and everyone has fond memories of. You're going to build skills that you didn't realize that you had, or you're going to use those skills you didn't realize you had. So teamwork, working to a deadline, problem solving, communication, presentation skills throughout a hackathon. All of those things are happening. But as well, through these few weeks leading up to the course, you're going to learn to do some new stuff as well. So if you've never done a team stand-up before, if you've never been involved in a stand-up, by the end of the hackathon, you will have done 6 stand-ups, 5 stand-ups, 5 stand-ups. So if you've never done a stand-up before, you're going to build that new skill. If you've never done pair programming before, so if you've never pair programmed on your course yet, you're going to learn to do that. If you've never used an API, you're going to understand how to use an API. If you've never used ChatGPT, the opportunity is there. Not every team will, but to use ChatGPT in your projects. If you've never used Google's Learnable Machine, we're super excited. One of the best talks I've ever been to is by a guy called Zach Akil from Google. And I don't know if anyone ever remembers, but I think it was during the World Cup. Google built this whole machine that people were kicking the ball into the goal as hard as they could but because the machine tracked the flight of it and learned how to like track the flight of the ball, it saved it every time. And Zach was one of the people that built that project as like a fun project, because that's what they do at Google, right? It's like how you use technology. But he's going to come and give a talk about something called Teachable Machine. And to get Zach's time to be able to come and talk about the projects that he's built using this bit of software that you're going to learn how to use is incredible. I have no doubt, and I want everyone to remember during this hackathon, okay, when it's sort of like the second day and you're thinking about the presentations tomorrow, oh, is this project going to be as good as other people's? Trust us, the team that you're working with, the mentors, and all of the skills that you will have in this room, the teams that I know that have been put together for this hackathon, you're going to make an excellent project, okay? So at those moments when you're looking around thinking, what are they doing? What are they doing? Trust us. We know you're going to build an excellent project, and that will be a good outcome. And a great show at the end of it as well. It's like that is the moment when all of the work that you've put together is going to come together, friends, families, partners, dignitaries, to a final event, and we will put on a great show. I am sure of it. But that is a good outcome for us. So just give you a brief timeline. I'm going to go through all the slides for that as well. We start today on the 20th, and we have a weekly meeting of new things that you can learn, new skills that you can learn that you can bring into the hackathon. And effectively, there'll be some team formation the week before the hackathon, when you'll be finally given, like, what are we learning all of these skills to build? And you and your team will try and bring together. So you come to the hackathon on the Monday morning, you'll know who your team is, you'll know what your role is, and you'll be ready to start hacking together as a team. Then effectively, you have 3 days, 9 to 5. 2 of those days you are literally working together as a team to, you know, how do we code this, how do we build this, how do we put all this stuff together. On the 3rd day, you will start preparing for the presentation. On the second half of the 3rd day, there'll be some judges, presentations, and then the overall hackathon winner will be announced. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. And I'm super, super glad and super grateful for everyone that's getting involved, and we are super excited. I'm about to hand over to Tim, and then I do have to dive, and because this is where I get out of my depth and Tim starts talking about code. But does anybody have any questions before I go? We'll try and keep them to a reasonable amount of time if anyone does, but does anyone have any sort of burning questions about, like, hey, what? Or any questions at all? Where are we going to be? Yeah, it's wow. That is not a loaded question. We are so lucky. Norwich University of the Arts are at Duke Street, Riverside, and they have this incredible facility at Duke Street, Riverside. So the actual hackathon is going to take place they've got this really large hall, which then converts into a presentation space for about, I think, about 300 seats in there. But what they do is they close it all off. We're going to have loads of little tables around the space for you and your teams to work together. Food will be provided throughout the day for you as well. And then on the final day, we will stop at lunchtime. We'll have this little alleys where people go down to show off their projects. They will put it back to seating, and the final presentations will take place in there. So city centre, Duke Street, Riverside at Norwich University of the Arts, and it is absolutely gorgeous. We are so lucky to be able to have that space, and so grateful for Norwich University of the Arts for having us. Whether they'll have us back, I don't know, but they're having us this time. So that's the main thing. Thank you ever so much for an excellent question. Does anyone else have any questions before I have to head out? You can type them in chat, or you can raise your hand if you'd like to. How many people in the team? Evan, thank you ever so much. Really great question. So we're thinking about 12 per team. So it's actually going to be around 120 participants at the moment. Now, there's a lot of students there, 120 people. Some teams may end up that you've got sort of 9 to 12, depending on if people aren't able to make it or something like that. We'll try and keep the team numbers as even as possible. But effectively, there'll be around 12 per team. And don't worry, every team will have a dedicated mentor throughout the whole event. Okay, someone who knows software, someone who knows how to code, someone who can help you out through the course. You'll also have someone who will be able to help prepare you for the presentations if you're one of the people presenting. So you will get support in your teams as well, dedicated support throughout the event as well. Thanks, Evan. That was a really, really great question. Thank you so much for that. Does anybody else have any other questions? If you do have a question, I'll give another sort of minute before I have to dive out. If you do have a question and you're thinking, oh, I better not ask that because that might sound silly. If you're thinking it, let me tell you, someone else in the room is thinking it as well. So please, if you do have any questions, ask them now. I will keep asking now because I feel like I'm really pushing the subject a bit. But thank you ever so much, everyone, for your time. I'm going to dive out now. So I will stop presenting before I do that in case that keeps presenting for some reason. And have an amazing time with Tim. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, James. I'll start by asking if anyone has any questions. No, I'm just kidding. You are very, very welcome. We're really, really excited. This is, like James said, I'm not going to repeat too much of what he said, but like he has said, it is really exciting. This is the start. We were waiting for this, and it feels like it's really ramping up now. So this session, we're going to look at three things mainly. We're going to look at Raspberry Pis. What is a Raspberry Pi? We're going to look at a thing called a Sense Hat. We're going to look at databases. Real top level of all of those things. But before I do anything, I actually do want to ask you a question. I am going to kick off a question. Has anyone used a Raspberry Pi before? Stick it in the chat or hands up. Yeah, we've got a few. Cool. Nice. Raspberry Pi 4, excellent. We will probably have Raspberry Pi 4s at the event. So that's perfect. And if you haven't used a Raspberry Pi, no worries. I have another question. Has anyone done any coding before? Yeah? Some thumbs up. Lots of thumbs up. Goodness. Yeah. And what's really, really exciting is the Raspberry Pi makes coding pretty easy. You can have very little coding knowledge, almost none, and still be able to contribute and see and understand what you're going to be looking at. So we're going to be looking at a little bit of code as well today in a minute. So one of the things that James did say, and I do want to repeat because it's really important, you're going to be in a team of 9 to 12 people. There are going to be so many people from cross disciplines in your team. So if at any point you're thinking, oh man, I don't know this, or I don't know if I'll be able to fully understand this before the hackathon, no worries, because someone in your team probably does understand that and you can help, but it's not all on you. And I really want to remind you that, and I'll probably say it again a couple of times over the next 45 minutes. It is not all on you to do everything. That is why you're in team. So that's really exciting. Few indeed. Can I just ask? No, I've already asked that question. I was about to ask if everyone's done a hackathon, but James asked that at the beginning. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you the teams will be put together based on disciplines. No, don't apologize, James. The teams will be put together based on what do you know, where are you from, and we'll make sure all the teams are really even. They'll have a good group of knowledge throughout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what a Raspberry Pi looks like, just in case you have never seen. So this is a Raspberry Pi. Pretty cool computer, the size of a credit card, like actually the size of a credit card. Don't recommend using it to clean your windshield in the morning, but it is, I don't know why I said that. That's because I've been using a Raspberry Pi to clean my windshield. No, I've been using a credit card. And this is a Sense Hat. HAT stands for hardware attached on top. So this goes on top of the Raspberry Pi. So you have a Raspberry Pi, and attached to it, you have a Sense Hat, and you end up with this. If you can see my camera, this is a Raspberry Pi with a Sense Hat on it. This is just a USB keyboard and mouse, and it's plugged into a monitor that I'm looking at over here, and power supply. Every team will have access to one of these, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. What sort of thing can you expect to build from a Raspberry Pi? That's the big part of what we're going to be exploring now. Really get your creative minds going. This is a basic example of a project built using a Raspberry Pi. Every 60 seconds, when the program is running on here, it will collect some data, which I'm going to show you how to do. It's collecting temperature data, pressure data, and humidity. Data is then being sent somewhere we're going to look at, And then somehow it's being displayed on a website. So this is the start of what a project might look like after a day at the hackathon. And then you can start to add more interactivity. What do the user do with this information? Is there an AI element? And that's what we're going to talk about in a moment. So can you see Figma? Yes, nice. So we have a few elements. The first one is the Raspberry Pi with a Sense app. And this thing is collecting a whole bunch of data. It's going to get, for example, or for today's example, the temperature. It's going to get the humidity. It's going to get the pressure. That's pretty cool. We're going to go and collect all that information. But what do we do with that information? Good question. We're going to come back to this page in a minute when we've looked at a few more things. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to explore this right here. What does the Raspberry Pi do, and how does it look when it's getting all that special information? So I'm going to stop sharing on my computer. You can't see it, but I'm going to turn slightly to my right, and over here I have the Raspberry Pi running. I'm going to share screen. Okie doke. So I've got some example. Can we see that? Is that working? Yes. Cool. So here I've got some example code snippets for you. Now, if you've never seen code before, I'm going to walk through this as much as not too much. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail. But again, remember, and I'm going to keep saying this, you don't have to understand everything that your team does. You just have, maybe you're coming with ideas, maybe you're coming with experience, maybe you're coming with coding knowledge. But together, you're going to make full amazing teams. So what we have here, right here, is a really short script. This line here saying, hey, go and get from a library of code that somebody else has written, because we don't want to write everything, so I can use my Sense hat, which is attached on top of my Raspberry Pi. Just to check, I'm expecting this to be the case. Can you see the code on the screen and then me in the corner holding up this? Hopefully you can see me as well, because if you can't, try and pin me so you can also see this, because some things are about to change on this. Here we're setting two colors using RGB values, red, green, blue, red, green, blue, so the foreground and the background. And then we are looping, for you programmers, we are doing a loop forever. True is always true, therefore this loop will happen forever and ever and ever. And we are doing one line of code here where we're saying, in my Sense hat, this thing, I want you to show a message, and the message I want you to show is, hello world, I want you to scroll at 0.1 speed. I want the text color to be whatever's in the foreground, and I want the background color to be whatever's in the background. And then here we just do some funky swapping, so the background color and the foreground color swap. Are you ready? Can you see me? Are you hyped? If you're not, get hyped. Are you ready? I'm gonna press play. Hello world. I don't know if the frame rate is allowing that to work properly, but you can see hello world. And then the background and the foreground color swap. Very exciting. Nice. I mean, that's fun. But what if it was even cooler? What if we started to use some of the sensors on the Sense hat? But Tim, what are you talking about? What sensors on the Sense hat? Let me tell you, on this thing that we've attached on top of the Raspberry Pi, there is a sensor for getting the temperature. There is a sensor for getting the humidity. There is a sensor for getting the pressure. There is an accelerometer, which is how fast is this going? How fast is it falling, lifting up, moving along? There is a gyroscope. What angle is it at? With all three of pitch, roll, and yaw. So all of you airline pilots, you know what that means. And there's also a magnetometer, which is a fancy way of saying the magnetic field of the Earth, which actually is also really fancy. So you don't even need a fancy way of saying it. And there is also an LED matrix, which I've already shown you. And down here is a little joystick. So this script here that you can see on the screen, we're importing Sense hat again, so we can use the Sense hat stuff. And here we're importing something called time, and that's just so we can wait. We're importing something called sleep from time. So here we're going to go and get our Sense hat. We are just changing a few settings, all of which are explained in guides for how to do this, which I'm going to show you in a moment. So don't worry, there's so much information. And you really must remember this hackathon, these lessons, they are not a memory exercise. I'm not showing you this so that you can just remember it all. I'm showing you it so you know that there is something you need to go look at. Everything I show you here today, you'll be able to go and access. And so what we're doing here, forever, while true, we are going to wait for two. We're going to. Oh, did I just change something? No, it's weird. We're going to sleep. We're going to wait a little bit, and then here we're going to set some colors on our screen. So, what are we sensing? Let's find out. I'm going to show you something in a moment. I haven't explained the code properly yet because I want to show you first. Press run. Currently, it is just blank. But if I put it a bit closer to the screen, it doesn't actually seem to be working. That's nice, isn't it? If I point it up, please start working. Okay, cool. Can you see that it's gone white? Because I've just pointed the sensor at the light. If I point it down, it's gone a bit darker. If I get this orange pen, hopefully it will go orange. Not working, but you're just going to have to trust me. What's happening is this line here, we are going to get the red, the green, and the blue values from the sensor that is on this hat. So we are finding out what color. Oh, it went green for a second, if you saw that. We're finding out what color is in front of this, okay? And then changing it to be that color. That's pretty cool. We're going to talk about uses for all of these things in a moment. Some more things we can do here. I'm not going to walk through the code here, but essentially we are saying put a little dot on the screen, and then using the joystick. Where is it? There. Using the joystick, move it around. Pretty cool. So you can control everything about these lights. You can choose exactly what happens. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I won't go through the code of this one because it's a bit long, but feel free to read through it. At some point, commented versions with loads and loads of explanation about all of these will be made available to you. So if you are like, oh, I wonder how they did that, you will be able to find out for yourself. This is where it gets really exciting. 4 lines of code. We go and get Sense Hat so we can use it. We make our connection to our Sense Hat, and then here we are going to go and get the pressure and then just show it on the LED screen. Are you ready? We find out what the pressure is in the office right now. The pressure is whatever that number was. I missed the beginning of it. And it's that simple. That is how you get sensor data from this. It is that short, 4 lines of code. Exactly the same here. Humidity. Oh, it's 19 humid in here. Gosh, I don't know if that's a lot. It doesn't feel very humid. It is warm, though. Let's see the temperature. Too hot, it's not working. Oh, I've commented it out, that's why. Try again. It is 38 degrees in here. Flip. Warm. This has been on for a while, actually. And then finally, we can also get information. Again, I'm not going to go through the code, but if you have a look, what you should see in a moment when I press play is an LED falling down because it is, and it's really hard to show you this without also moving my laptop. But if I go like this, you can't see it, but the LEDs stop moving. And then I go like this and it starts falling again because it's finding out what is the pitch and the yaw and the roll. Oh, I can just turn it this way and you can see that. The LED is basically subject to gravity because we're moving it around based on it. You could make a spirit level with this. When I lay it down, is it flat or is it like this? So let's stop talking about code for a second. What do you think some uses of all of these sensors are? I'm going to give you a couple of examples and then I want to hear from you. I want to get some examples. So an example I've already shown you, collecting information about the weather, the temperature, the pressure, the humidity, and using that data to show a user. Maybe with the motion detector is maybe someone is at risk of falling or tripping. So you get something like this, and they have it as a wearable. Maybe it's on their chest, maybe it's on their arm or on their under bracelet or a necklace, and it senses when they have extreme speed and a sudden angle change. They've fallen over. And maybe this can alert someone and say, hey, this person, this user has had a fall, send help. But that sort of thing you could use with the motion detector. And maybe all the lights go red so someone can see them. Maybe with the color sensor, you have like a couple of things you could do. You have you sense the color that you're wearing, and it's like, oh, nice shirt, Tim. You should wear the blue hat today. And that is why I'm wearing this hat. I was going to wear the orange one, but the Raspberry Pi told me to wear the blue one. Or maybe with furniture, you point it at your wall, and it's like, this color furniture would go really well with that wall. Or maybe you want to put, where do you hang art? Stuff like that. Things you can use with the color sensor. So, is anyone inspired by any of these sensors and they want to think, oh yeah, I've got an idea. What ideas have you got? Fire away. Put them in the chat. Yeah, go for it. Pause because I know it takes time to type. Oh yeah, nice. Check the temperature in the fridge. That's a really good idea. Check the temperature in the freezer. So remotely keeping track of what the temperature is, and oh my goodness, all my food's gonna melt. Does food melt? No, I mean ice cream melts. Soil moisture detector, so don't overwater your plants and kill them. That is a really good idea. That is a really, really good idea. Um, cool, nice, awesome. Any more ideas? Oh, motion sensor with an alarm stop theme. That's a very good idea. Nice. I like it. Awesome. Physical game, like an arcade style. What, so you have to like try and avoid the maze? What's that game where you have a dial on two sides of a box and you can move the top in two range of movements. Pretty cool. Just a friendly reminder, please. If you're using the chat, it's to talk to me. Try not to be distracting to other people. I do have the capacity to turn the chat off. Don't make me do that. Please don't be distracting to other people. Okay, nice, awesome. So yeah, there's so many different things you could do with just this one piece of kit. It's got so many things on it. So I'm going to show you um, something slightly cooler. I already showed you this website. Let me just stop presenting here and show you this. Whoa, did you see that? Every reaction you did all at once just appeared on my screen. I don't know if you saw that. So I already showed you this project. And this project uses similar code to what we looked at before, where we get the pressure, we get the temperature, we get the humidity, but where is it going? So earlier, I showed you this. We have the Raspberry Pi with a sense on it. It is collecting that information. But where's that information going? The information is going to a database. And that is what I'm going to show you next. But we're going to complete the whole picture before we move on and start looking at the demo. So our Raspberry Pi is saying, hey, can I please have this information from my different sensors? That goes to the database, which I'm going to show you in a second. Well, once that information is in a database, any web developers in here, what can you do with a database? If your answer was, I don't know, make a website, then you'd be right. Well done. I'm assuming that was all of your answer. Maybe we get that information from the website, from the database, put it on a website. Pretty cool. What if maybe the website had the ability for the user to interact with it and say, oh, I'd love to give me information about the temperature, pressure, and humidity on this day. Cool. Maybe that's some interactivity. They type in a date, it tells them information about that. But what if we took it a step further and this idea isn't fully fledged yet, and that's on purpose? What if there was an element of AI where you say on the website, hey, I want to know about this date. You take that data, you send it to an AI, and the AI goes, here's an analysis of all the information you've given me about All right, definitely stop using the chat unless you're talking about the course, please. Thank you very much. Um, so you have your website, you send some information to the AI, and you get back an analysis, which is pretty cool. And then here we have a pretty cool project with just 4 parts. And what I'm showing you today is basically the bits I've got highlighted there. We've got a Raspberry Pi getting some information with sensors. It's sending that information to a database. The database is being used to drive what happens on a website. And that's it. And it's much simpler than you think. So what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to show you the Raspberry Pi collecting the data, sending it to a database, and showing it on the website, which is this website. So people who've done the boot camp on our course, with tech educators, I know that you know the answer to this question, but has anyone heard of Supabase? Not the Nicki Minaj song, but the software as a service. Let me show you. This is an example of a database on Supabase. I'm not going to go over the creating of this. Guides for all of these little bits will be available to you before and during the hackathon. But here we have a database with temperature, pressure, humidity, and the time that it was created. This database is driving that website. What we can do is we can make it so the Raspberry Pi puts information here every minute, adds more and more information for us to view, for us to analyze, for us to give the users the ability to do whatever it is they want with. And I'm going to show you a tiny bit of code just to show you how little code you need to make a database. That's pretty much it. We're creating a table. It's called readings, and it has these fields in it. And that's it. So and the reason I'm showing you this is not, again, not so you understand it. I just want you to know the amount of information that you need to retain is very low. You just need to know that it's available to you, where to look, and we're going to give it to you to look at. Okie doke. So you've seen a database. Now I'm going to jump back to the Raspberry Pi. And you see this. You can. Nice. Cool. So in here, I'm going to open up a file and show you the file that runs all of the data for that website. Let's have a look. I should have opened here. I'm just going to walk a little bit through this code with you. So, the thing we've seen before, we're importing information for a code to run from our Sense app, and we're reporting sleep, and we're doing the thing with the Sense app to say, hey, I want to use the sensors on this Raspberry Pi, on the Sense app. These lines here, again, I'm going to give you a guide, but a brief overview is we need to have access to these special things called environment variables when we're running our code. And the reason I haven't just put the environment variables that are in the code is because they are secret. There's 2 big long strings of random numbers and letters, which are essentially my passwords to my database. And the reason I'm not going to put them in this recording is because they are incredibly important. Sharing both of these publicly is like dropping your keys to your car, but attached to your keys is a post-it note that says what your car registration is and where you've parked it. And please take it. Like, they are so important. So I'm not going to show you in this lesson, but there'll be a guide for how to use them. And here is the exciting part. We are, as you've seen already from this file, get pressure, get humidity, get temperature. Here we are getting temperature, getting pressure, getting humidity. And here we're just printing them down here. We will in a minute, just so we can see them, just so as the developer, we can kind of keep track and be like, yeah, actually, I need to see what data I'm getting. And then here, let's close this, it's not helpful. And then here we have one line of code, which looks way more complicated than it is, but honestly, it should read like a sentence. We are saying, I want to, using Supabase, which is my database, go and get me the table of readings. That's the table we looked at a moment ago. And I want to insert the temperature, I want to insert the pressure, and I want to insert the humidity. And then I want to run that sentence that we just read. All I'm saying is hey, let's add stuff to the database. The thing we're adding is the information we just got from the Raspberry Pi, and it's that simple. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run it here in the terminal. It's very fun for those who haven't used a terminal with coding before. Yes, it does make you feel like one of those hackers in the movies. So that's something you get to do in the oh, that's I'm typing on the wrong keyboard. In during the hackathon. So I'm going to run the script here because of the environment variables. Again, a guide for this will be made for you, but I'm going to run Python data pi, and that's all I'm saying is, hey, this file we just looked at called data, run it. Are you ready? These three numbers, what do you think they are? We just looked at them in the code. Those three numbers are the temperature, the pressure, and the humidity. And then a message saying we've added them to the database. Let's just come back to my computer. I'm going to show you something absolutely crazy. Are you ready? We scroll all the way to the bottom, refresh. This information got put into the database 1 minute ago, or less than 1 minute ago. That came from this Raspberry Pi right now. This temperature, this pressure, this humidity is right now in this room, and it's added to the database, which means this entry right here on this website is coming from this Raspberry Pi. And that is the beginning of what could be an amazing project, which is very much pat yourself on the back, Tim, because I made it. But what I'm trying to say is you can build something amazing with not a lot of code, not a lot of work, but with teamwork, with coming up with fun ideas, challenging things, challenging what you think about something, and or maybe challenging a thing that doesn't exist, but it should exist. Thinking like that, you can build something incredible. I'm going to pause and ask if anyone has any questions. I would like to remind everyone, please, the chat is for questions, and that's it. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to unmute if you want to as well. No questions? That is using a Raspberry Pi with a Sense hat to put information in a database and share it on the website. The code for that is all here. We use something, I'm sharing my screen in a moment. We use something called GitHub. Thumbs up in the with the emojis if you use something called GitHub. Nice. So, as a friendly reminder, again, if you think, oh, I don't know that, or I haven't heard of that, there are people in your team who absolutely have. So you mustn't fear. So this is a thing called GitHub. This repository, again, I'll email this out, and the next email everyone gets about it, where you will get information about this repository. All the code I showed you today, all of the projects exist right here, and we're going to constantly add things for you to come back and view. So if you look in basic, you can see here, well, here's the demo that Tim just showed us to go and get the pressure. So you don't have to remember how to do it because it's right here. But more importantly, we go to projects and we go to weather chart, we can see here the code that we just ran to go and get the data and put it in a database. And on here, and all of the projects are going to have this, and we're going to get loads and loads of resources for you. All the instructions that you need to create that project and start running it. It's all here, and we'll send you this link. So again, I know I'm repeating myself, but it bears repeating. You do not need to remember all of this. You just need to know where to look for the answers. That about does it. Does anyone have any questions to finish? Nice one, guys. Awesome. It's all about coding or anything physical. Good question. So there are doesn't have to be coding. There will be elements of code no matter what you do, because we are building projects with computers. If you have an idea that solves a problem, the problem that we haven't presented to you yet, but we will at the beginning of the hackathon, that also takes a physical element that isn't a computer. I'm trying to think of an example. Uh, it's quite hard to think of an example. But if you can come up with an engineering solution that's physical and here it solves it, be unbelievable. And it would do very well in Innovation Alley, which is what James was talking about earlier. There's the judging, and there's also a time when you walk through, the judges will walk through and literally see all of your different projects. So yeah, great question. The answer is yes, and both, if that makes sense. Excellent. Final chance to ask questions before we round up the session. Nice one, guys. Thank you very much. Next week, we're going to be looking at the part that we didn't look at today. Let me share my screen and show you. We looked at using a Raspberry Pi to get data, adding that to a database, and making a website. Next week, we're going to look at using AI alongside that data with our website to do something funky and cool. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. It's really fun. I'm really, really looking forward to Hackhead. It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be amazing. And I hope you're as excited as I am. Well done, everyone.